So I'm delighted to be here with Kelly Palmer. And Kelly and I both have a long career in learning and leadership development at different organizations. And I know Kelly very well as a friend and an amazing professional in L&D. Has co-authored a fantastic book, The Expertise Economy, that I would really recommend everybody to read actually. And Kelly, in terms of the conversation, it seems like you are on a mission to change, corporate learning and development. So can you a little bit share about what you are doing and also what needs to change in corporate learning and leadership development?
Yeah, great question. So, I changed careers kind of midway through my career and got into learning about 15 years ago. And one of the things that I realized when I first got into learning from product development was how antiquated it seemed a lot of our models for corporate learning were. And I started at Sun Microsystems where there was a lot of classroom lecture-based training and taking tests, very much like our school system. And I thought, that's strange especially since I have spent my whole career in Silicon Valley and worked for some of the tech giants. I thought, wow, we should be a lot further along with this intersection of education and technology than we are. And so I thought, what a great opportunity to really bring those two things together. I don't think the technology had really caught up to really what we wanted to do with it. I remember experimenting at Sun with things like wikis and blogs and things that whatever we had with technology that we could try new things with learning, but really it wasn't quite there. And so I think now we've seen the evolution of both education technology and the evolution of work itself. And those two things converging together right now, I think are making new things possible. So I think that's our mission, is to really say, okay, how can these two things come together and how can we really make a difference to help people build skills for now and for the future?
Yeah, wonderful. And if you reflect on, let's say, the technology today and let's say what will happen the next 5 years, what do you think, what's the power of all the new learning technologies that become available, and how can companies really benefit from that, and also employees, how can they leverage all these amazing new technologies?
Right. Well, let's start with, where we are now with technology. I think that I work for an education technology company, Degreed, right now, that's actually helping. There's a lot of companies that are trying new things with technology, but one of the things that we're doing is helping people discover all the learning that's out there. I think we have had a very narrow definition of what learning is in the past, and now we realize learning comes in a variety of forms, and it can be in the form of an interactive in-person session, but it can also be in the form of technology where you're using virtual video technology to bring groups of people together. You have machine learning and artificial intelligence that's helping you locate all this amazing content that's out there that we really never had access to before, and it's allowing us to sort through all of the actually overwhelming amount of content that's actually out there. So when you think about how machine learning today is changing the way people learn, now we can see curated content that's bringing a variety of sources together and saying, oh, you want to learn about data science or data analytics? Look, we can serve up to you, here's all the best content on that topic, so that you don't have to do a Google search and say there's thousands and thousands of assets and I don't really know where to start. So technology is starting to help people, I think, really focus in on what's available to them, so it's more personalized and so it's more social rather than just going to a classroom.
Yeah. And Kelly, and I have been in my CLO role at McKinsey, established we call it a high-tech, high-touch kind of learning culture, right? So there's high-tech, all the new technology, 24/7, personalized, etc., and also the high-touch, where you still bring people together and provide them with a very immersive, learning experience. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I love what you've done at McKinsey around that blended learning, because I really do believe that that's the future of learning. It's not, some people will come out and say, oh, micro learning is the new thing, or all online learning is the thing. Well, it's not. The fact is it's everything. It's these blended experiences, and it depends on what you're trying to do as to what you might select. So for example, if you're just trying to gain some knowledge, say I want to learn a little bit about machine learning so that I can speak intelligently about it, I might find a video or listen to a podcast and get some basic knowledge about that. But that's because my goal was just a cursory knowledge of what I'm trying to get to. But when you think about actually building true expertise and really diving into it, doing immersive in-person experiences with digital reinforcements outside of those experiences, and blend them all together so that learning becomes a journey. It doesn't have a real start and an end to it. It continues as you keep developing that expertise. So I would say that's really the key to the future of learning, is realizing how can we use all of these modalities together depending on the situation we're in to really help people learn.
Yeah, no, thank you. My last question, Kelly, is you have had amazing roles at different organizations, at Sun, as CLO, at Yahoo, and your last role was at LinkedIn before you joined Degreed. So any kind of insights that you have for people who are also in companies today with a lot of young people, millennials, Gen Z, tech savvy, and in terms of how they learn. So if you think about your experience at some of these companies, what are some key lessons actually that companies could learn from?
Yeah, I think it's interesting because I think millennials are pushing us, or people new into the workforce are pushing us to think differently about learning. Like, they don't want to have one experience outside of work where they can be on their phone and learn instantly from all the resources that are out there, and then they come to work and they're forced to learn in a different way. They're forced to wait to go to a class or something similar to that. So when I was at LinkedIn, for example, we had 70% millennials, and we realized that their expectations about how and when they learn was different from the older models. But I would argue, though, that it's not just millennials who want to learn that way. I'm certainly not a millennial, but I like to learn that way. And if you ask almost anybody how they like to learn, or what they do when they're trying to learn something outside of the work environment, they're learning in a variety of ways through a variety of sources. So why not bring that into the corporate world? And I think that the biggest thing that companies need to think about is that mindset shift of, we need to have a culture of learning where everybody feels like they have ownership over their own learning, and that they have a part to play. It's not just about spoon feeding employees and saying, command and control, this is what you need to learn and when you need to learn it. I think companies can provide guidance, because that's a lot of times what people say is like, well, what are the most important skills of the future? What are the skills I might need? A little guidance, but not control over how and when people learn. And so I think that those are the things that I've learned as I've evolved and been at some of these tech companies in Silicon Valley.
Oh, wonderful. Well, thank you for sharing all your insights, Kelly. And, I think we have an amazing time ahead of us in people capability development. And I hope that a lot of companies will really take advantage of all the new technologies, all the new science actually that is now available to help their people to upskill and reskill at the pace of business. So thank you again.
Thank you, Nick. It's been great.